All right, this week's question of the week comes to me from one of my students, and where I talk about why I think it's important for jiu-jitsu school owners and instructors to compete so your students can see you compete. And there's a lot of different views on that. Some instructors don't compete, but I can tell you why I do compete as a jiu-jitsu instructor and a jiu-jitsu school owner, and why I think it's important. So the reason I think it's important is I think back to my military experience in the 33 years I was in the Navy, and where in the Navy, in the military, we focus on leading by example. And so I bring that same concept to my jiu-jitsu school. So, like, in the military, if my Marines and sailors are meeting at 0530 for a company run or a battalion run, then I'm out there with them at 0530, running right along beside them. I'm not telling somebody, hey, have them all get together and run at 5:30 and then give me a report at 0700 as to how the run went. I know how the run went because I'm out there running with them. So, and I've always looked at competition the same way. Like, every jiu-jitsu instructor is going to teach, every good jiu-jitsu instructor is going to teach you, jiu-jitsu techniques. But for me, what I focus on is when it comes to competition, I'm more concerned with my students showing good sportsmanship than I am them winning, their match or the tournament. Good sportsmanship is critical to me. And so my students, when they watch me compete, and they have watched me win, and they have watched me lose, like just last weekend, I competed in the Pan American Jiu-Jitsu Championships. I won my first match, and I lost my second match. And why that's important, the important lesson that I want my students to get from that is when they watch me win my first match, the referee raised my hand, I shook my opponent's hand, I thanked him for the match, and there was no wild celebrations, no taunting. It was like, hey, thank you for an outstanding match, best wishes, and that was it. When I lost my next match, there was no crying, there was no, oh, this ain't fair, the referee, or whatever you can blame your loss on. And I see this in so many jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like, people lose and it's like they start boo-hooing, or they just blame the ref, they blame the rules, they blame everybody but themselves. Where my philosophy is, when I lost my match, there was nobody to blame but me. And I credited my opponent on an excellent strategy and an excellent fight. And so, to me, sportsmanship is so important, and the best way to show my students proper sportsmanship is for them to see me compete. So they've seen me win, they've seen me lose, and that's the standard that I want for my students. Because I'll see these competitions and they never fail to, the poor sportsmanship never fails to disgust me, that I'll see in many of these tournaments. Like, you'll see people, like, they'll win and then they're doing this, or shooting an imaginary gun at somebody, or an imaginary arrows, and it's like, or doing a dance. Like, there's a video on YouTube where this young lady, she chokes her opponent unconscious, and as they're waking her opponent up, she's doing this cutthroat thing, and then I think she even did a Michael Jackson moonwalk dance, and it's like, I would be so embarrassed if one of my students did that. And then there's when people win, I'll see people like, oh, they'll fall on the mat. Like, if they put the person to sleep, they'll fall on the mat and they'll pretend like they're sleeping. Like, really? That's horrible. And You know, like for some schools and for some instructors, that's fine. They think, oh, that's great. To me, I would be just horrified if I saw one of my students do that. And so I set the example for them. You know, I don't want my students doing nonsense like that. You know, whether you win, whether you lose, I want to see good sportsmanship. And I think that's very important. And that's one of the reasons that all the years that I've been teaching jiu-jitsu or owning an academy is I like to compete so my students can see like, hey, you know, this is what you do when you win. This is what you do when you lose. Good sportsmanship. All right, that's my answer for this week's question of the week. Got any insights, comments? Feel free to put below. Until next week, ciao.